Hey everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Great Commission Women podcast. I'm so excited to have Marissa on today. We're just going to be chatting about her work with the Pregnancy Center, and we've just already been having so much fun chatting together and having a great time. Our church actually started a pregnancy center back in the 90s, right? And that kind of led to what Pregnancy Center is today. And so, Marissa, if you just want to introduce yourself and then kind of dive into the story of how that started.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Marissa Fagerquist. Don't try to spell it. It's fine. Everyone sees my name and they get super scared. So my name is Marissa. I work for Your Options Medical. My current role is marketing and communications. So I get to work strictly from home, which is super nice since I have all my babies. You know,
Aww.
I can be home and working still and part of the ministry. But I did start back as a volunteer, and I joke that I kind of worked my way up the ladder.
Yes.
So the center started back in the 90s. It was actually interesting because Your Options Medical, at the time it was a woman's concern, was founded and was just a couple years old. The pastor at the time of Holland Church, he had heard about pregnancy centers and just God kind of lit a fire of like, hey, your church could help start something like this.
Yeah.
So some of the elders got together with people from A Woman's Concern and said, hey, would you consider another location and all this? But it was so new of an organization. They were like, oh, we're not ready to take that on yet. So they were like, that's okay. If you don't mind, we can kind of like work together, right? Collaborate.
Yeah.
So they started the center. It became Your Life Matters Pregnancy Center. I came into the picture in 2015, again, just as a volunteer. And eventually it was just basically the center was under the church's 501c3 status, and they wanted to be able to have it be its own separate organization.
Okay.
So with that, talks began of, well, what if we go back to this place, A Woman's Concern, and see if now they're ready to like maybe take on a location. So talks began, everything just kind of came into place. The Lord laid it all out. And so January 2017, we officially became another location. At the time, there's been a lot of name changes, so I'm so sorry. Hopefully everybody tracks. But at the time, it was Learn Your Options.
Okay.
And then not long after we came on the scene, we had another name change to what is now Your Options Medical.
Okay.
So
yes.
all the same organization. So hopefully no one gets confused by that. But yeah, so that's kind of the story. It's neat how it kind of started like these two different organizations wanting to come together, but not quite there yet. And then the Lord years later being like, okay, now it's time. So, and because of the status when we were still under the church, we weren't able to get like the ultrasound piece and everything in place, but Your Options Medical had that piece, which we knew was super important, right, for women facing unexpected pregnancies. So they had a mobile unit that they could bring out to our location. Anyway, so that's kind of the backstory, that's how it all came about.
Yeah, I love getting to hear how even like small organizations, churches, the Lord just like plants a seed in their heart and like start this, and then how it can grow and just impact so many people. And that's this is definitely a testimony of that.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about the heart behind Your Options and just how like what their mission is.
Yeah, sure. So the mission and goal is to serve women and families facing unexpected pregnancies, right? We want to see every woman equipped with the truth of, to be equipped to choose life, essentially. We're not going to manipulate her. We're not going to try to, tell her or force her what to do, but we want to give her the truth so that she's making a good decision. Again, we want to equip them to choose life, to realize, because most of the time these women come in, they feel like they have to have an abortion. It's not like they want to, right? It's not on anyone's bucket list, realistically, you know? So they come in feeling like they have to. There's force. They're feeling pressured. So when they come in, we help them just to have them take a breath.
Yeah.
Like, slow down. There's no pressure to decide right this very second. They're in the middle of a crisis. They feel like their life is falling apart. So we come alongside and just give them the truth. And I'm like, okay, let's see what's even going on. Let's see, how far along you are. Because you might think you have to decide right now, but you've got time.
Yeah.
Just to help them slow down and not make a rash decision that later they'll regret. Because we know a lot of women who have had abortions later on regret it. Some say they don't, but it can take up to like even 10 years before women actually realize like, hey, that was not a good decision.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the the mission is to serve them, to equip them and empower them to choose life for their children.
Yeah,
So
I love that. That's so good.
Yeah.
What does a typical day look like for you right now serving with the ministry?
Well, working from home and having children, it kind of depends.
Yeah.
But basically, because I do the marketing and communications, a lot of it is like drafting up emails. I do still kind of have my hand a little bit on the patient side. I do a lot of statistics and kind of just check in with the different centers because I write patient stories. Right.
Okay,
We know the
yeah.
testimonies are so powerful. So I kind of try to stay in the loop with them of like, okay, what's going on? Who's had a really, great testimony? Not everyone wants to share, which I totally get, right? It's a very sensitive topic.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, not everyone wants to share that they considered abortion.
Yeah.
I get that. So I have good connection with the staff that the ones that want to share and are willing, great. Some don't always want to share their full story, but they're willing to do like a little write-up or a small video just to be like, hey, I just want to thank the supporters of this ministry who helped like provide my baby basket, because we'll give like we call it a welcome baby gift basket.
Aww.
And they're so it's like all the fun things, right? Like the diapers and wipes, and then you get like all these little clothes for them and blankets and fun things like that. But so typical day would be mostly a lot of writing, a lot of social media content creation and such. But I try to keep my hand in what's going on with the patients a little bit because that's the goal. That's the why. When I was serving as the center director of our Southbridge office, I don't want to say bogged down, but there's a lot to do as a center director.
Mm.
And it's not always patient related. Ultimately, it's a lot of administrative. And I would notice I'd start to get very weary in different seasons. And my coworker at the time would be like, hey, I think you need to see some patients. Like you kind of need to be reminded of why you're here, what our mission is. Because she's like, I can just tell you're weary.
Yeah.
And I mean, it makes sense. It's a very, what's the word I want? It's ministry.
Yeah.
So it's exhausting in a sense because, it's emotional, it's spiritual battle that you're in every single day. So it can be easy to get to lose sight of that, right? To lose sight of the mission and why we're there. So I try to make sure I'm still keeping my hand, on the pulse a little bit of what is going on with the patients and who we're seeing and changed minds, because that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
If I stay focused on just constantly creating emails and social media and all this, after a while, it's like, okay, yep, this is getting a little mundane. But then when I hear the story of the patient that called us for an abortion pill reversal, got it and saved her baby, well, that just like, oh, that makes my day. So
that is so good. I love that. Can you share maybe one of the most impactful or most memorable stories that you've witnessed through the center?
Yeah. Oh, goodness. There's a lot. One of my really close coworker that I worked with, Suzanne, she did a lot of visits with me at the churches, but her and I would always joke about like, man, if these walls could talk, like in the counseling room, like if the walls could talk about the things that we have seen, from change hearts, change minds, changed lives, like just all that God has done. Someday I may write a book. I don't know. We'll see.
Yes,
Maybe I'll share all the stories. But one of the things when I was serving basically as interim director, because at the time we were getting ready to transition to merge with Your Options Medical. And my coworker, Suzanne, was the one serving as actual interim director and then got suddenly sick. And not like, oh, I have a cold. Like, I'm not sure what is wrong. My doctors don't have answers yet. I could be out for like 2 months.
Okay.
And I was serving as her assistant. So I was placed into the role and I was willing. I just kind of felt a little intimidated, like I'm not sure what I'm doing. I've been in that role. It was like 7 or 8 months.
Okay.
So I went from like part-time volunteer of like, oh yeah, I'm training to meet with patients and I'm cleaning the bathroom and I'm filing or answering phones to, oh, I have to help run this. So
that is a lot.
It was a big step, and the Lord was very faithful and he guided and directed. But anyway, so, I've got like this new responsibility. We had a day, I had volunteers that had to call out, which, it happens, right? People get sick, life happens. So we had somebody who had previously volunteered that was like, hey, I'll step in, I'll help you for the day. whatever you need, even if it's just answering the phone and put it on hold, I will help you. And I was like, bless you. I just need somebody,
Uh-huh.
And we had a full docket. We had all kinds of classes. We tried to kind of schedule the parenting classes on a different day from pregnancy testing.
Yeah.
Not that we couldn't see them both in the same day. It was just the way the building was. And we only had one designated counseling room.
Okay.
So we tried to kind of put them on separate days if we could. But obviously, if someone needs to be seen, that's fine. And sure enough, I'm in the office okay, trying to help the person, the advocate get ready for their next class and all this. And this volunteer came in and was like, hey, we have a girl that needs to be seen. She called on the phone. She's crying. She's terrified, thinks she's pregnant, the whole thing, right? Can you see her in 20 minutes? She said she could be here in 20 minutes. And I was like,
okay.
Yes, of course. Let me figure out our layout. And it worked out. We actually had a parent class that didn't show. Which I was kind of, I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus. I hope they're safe. I hope it was just I forgot. Oh, my goodness, scheduling thing. But so this girl comes in and again, just in tears. She can't get through any of the paperwork. And I was like, you know what? It's fine. Let me just take her back. I'm just going to take her back to the room. We'll get paperwork after. I'm not too concerned. And so she's holding the clipboard. Her hands are shaking. She's sobbing. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I know you need this paperwork before you see me. I'm so sorry. So I was like, no, it's okay. Let me take it. So I just put it off to the side. And I just felt like I should just kneel in front of her. And so I knelt on the floor in front of her. And I asked her, can I just hold your hands? And so I held her hands. And she was just sobbing and sobbing. And I was like, it's okay. I was like, we'll get through that. Don't worry about it. What's going on? You're obviously shaken. This was obviously unexpected. Just talk to me. What's going on? And she just started pouring it out. I think I'm pregnant. I'm not in a good place. I've been struggling with depression, all these things. And she just kept going on. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I can understand why she thinks this is the answer, to have an abortion. I can understand her mindset of I can't have a baby right now.
Yeah.
Even though we know that's not the answer. I get it. So I was like, okay. In my mind, I'm like, okay, Lord, just help me. Give me the words, whatever she needs to hear. I can't tell you what I said. I don't remember. I just remember sitting there listening to her pour her heart out and being like, okay, well, I remember things okay, you're not alone. You came to the right place, right? We're here to help you. That's why we're here. We exist so that we can help women who are in these crisis moments.
Yeah.
So you made the right step in calling us, and just kind of, again, other than that, I can't really tell you what happened, which is why I know it must have been the Lord because, that's how it seems to go. But anyway, so in talking with her, before we even got to the point of her taking the pregnancy test, she completely calmed down. She was no longer crying. She was no longer shaking. She actually started just chatting to me and was laughing.
Oh,
so I was like, okay, praise God.
Yes.
So then we're sitting there waiting for the result on her test. And she's just chit-chatting like we're best friends that went out to coffee, And I remember being like, okay, Lord, that was good. She's calm. So now she'll be able to think clearly. So we started going through the options a little bit while we're waiting. And she was like, okay, I think if I'm pregnant, I think I could do this. And I was like, yeah, you could.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you it's easy by any means, but you absolutely could do this. There is help. There are resources. You don't have to walk this alone kind of thing. Well, it ended up being negative.
Oh.
So, and sure enough, she had the retest, all the things. She went and saw her doctor and everything was good. Just, So, but in talking with her right after, she was like, oh, okay, but that can be wrong, right? I was like, it could. I gave her just the information and whatnot of, we recommend, our nurses always say, come back in a week. Yeah. We can retest all the things. But she was like, okay, all right. But I won't worry about it at this point. I feel good. Even if things come back, I'll be back. Okay, great. Praise God. So she left and everybody was like, wow, is she okay? I was like, yep, it was negative. We'll see. Nurse will follow up with her. Da-da. And I remember going back to the office and I just sat down at the desk for a minute and I was like, okay, Lord, that was a really good visit. What did you have me say? In my mind, what was the formula that worked so well to help bring her from complete overwhelm to such total calm, even before she knew the result of her test. And I had that verse that came into mind. Perfect love casts out fear.
Yeah.
I'm going to try not to cry. Oh my goodness.
I'm getting
I'm
chills
smoking at
right
you.
now. I'm getting chills.
I'm smoking at your church, so I'm sure you've probably seen me cry like 7 times. But
And you're also pregnant.
That's yeah, and those hormones don't help at all. But that's what it was. He was like, you showed her my love, and my love casts out fear, because fear can't be where I am. And I was like, okay, because I think for me too, it was so pivotal at that time, because I wasn't fully trained, or excuse me, I was fully trained to meet with patients. But in my mind, I was still fairly new. I had only been at the center, at that point, it was like 1.5 years.
Okay.
So, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I haven't been doing this that long. And I was looking for that formula of like, how do you help this person like go from that absolute crisis mode to like calm and peaceful and able to like make good decisions that they can live with, right? And I was like, okay, so it's not always going to be this perfect set of words or, the perfect pamphlet that I'm going to give them. It's loving them like Jesus. And just being there. And if that means setting aside the paperwork, kneeling at their feet, holding their hand, and just being like, what's going on?
Yeah.
That's enough, So that to me is still the thing that when people ask, what's the most impactful, that's the story I'll go back to, because it's so foundational too. Of like, it carries through, because there, for a while, I was doing what we call our helpline, which is basically like the phone number people would call right off the bat to schedule. And those calls can be a very rough job. Because, you have some women that call thinking we might be an abortion clinic. So obviously we tell them like, oh no, we don't do abortions. We don't refer for them. But this is what we can offer you. And as you can imagine, some people are not always very happy. I get it. They're in a crisis. So try not to take it personally, right? So I try to go, in those moments where it was like, oh man, very discouraging, try to go back to that. But did you show them my love? Were you kind? Because my love will cast out the fear. Like, okay, Lord, even for the ones that maybe never came to us, or maybe we see them once and never again. Just as long as we have shown you their love, we have given them the truth, that's enough. Because, especially for the ones either we don't know or they come back and tell us that they had an abortion, those are hard. Because you take it upon yourself of what could I have said? What did I do wrong? What didn't I say? What did I not call back soon enough and follow up fast enough, or all the things? And the Lord kept bringing me back to that. Just perfect love casts out fear. You gave them the truth. You loved them like I would. You gave them the truth. And that's enough. And they cannot stand before me one day and say, nobody told me. So I tried to use that with my staff too, of like, that's our job. We cannot take it with us.
I think that's so relatable to any ministry of like not, you share the gospel and you're pouring out your heart to these people and you don't always see results, but just remembering that being the hands and feet of Christ, it's enough in his eyes, and you may never see the impact that it has until, you get to heaven one day and you're like, oh, I shared the gospel. Yes. They're here. But like it can be discouraging if you're not seeing the results right away or, hearing those transformations, those testimonies right away, but just resting in, like you said, sharing his love. I love that. That's so good. You talked a little bit about this, but like people who don't, agree with what you're doing, and that can be so hard. How do you handle such a politically charged topic with grace and love and in those hard situations?
By the grace of God. So I'm Italian, and I'm very passionate about this work. So it can be tricky, not gonna lie. But I think the Lord has helped me in just understanding that this is a spiritual battle and it's not gonna make sense. So when I hear someone saying things like, well, it's a human, but it's not a person. So that's why abortion's okay. Especially if it's somebody who says like, oh, I'm a Christian, but I am for abortion. And in my mind, I'm kind of like, But I think the Lord, again, he just brings me back to this is spiritual. It's not going to make sense. So just know that if they're not seeing preborn life from my perspective, if they don't validate that that's a life and they're affirming of abortion, they're deceived. And I think that gives me more compassion and grace for people, because it's a lot easier to think like, oh, they just don't know the truth. Than to listen and be like, oh, that just doesn't make any sense. Like, why do you even think that way? You know, instead
Yeah.
of getting angry, it gives me a heart of compassion because I can see them how Jesus sees them.
Yeah.
You know, with those eyes of like, oh, I'm sad because I have sympathy for you because you don't know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, how many people are also deceived.
Yeah.
So it can be tricky, but that's what the Lord is kind of
Yeah,
done
and
for
that
me.
and that goes
See it
back
that
to
way.
that perfect love cast out fear, right? A lot of people handle these situations, but especially in the political world, like with anger and, you know, yelling their opinion. But if you're coming across as just like loving and like, hey, this is my opinion, and like you can take or leave it, and like I think that's so different than what the world is used to, and that is just like the light of Christ right there. In seeing that. So yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, I kind of have that. It's like that Charlie Kirk approach of just keep talking, because when people stop talking to, like, you know, others that they disagree with, that's when violence happens. But when you can just sit down with somebody you don't agree with and have a conversation, and it could get heated, sure, like I'm not against a good debate, right? But like knowing that person's not your enemy, and focusing on attacking the argument, not the person.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I think that's helped. But so I try to keep it very like just very neutral, because I mean there's no point, you know, in arguing and going back and forth.
Yes.
So yeah. So when I've had those things, try to bring it back to like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And I wish somebody would respond like, let's get together and let's discuss it, because you're not my enemy. I don't see you that way.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not mad at you. I want to know your thoughts and your opinions, and hopefully share mine, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway.
That's so good. I love that. For someone who may be facing an unplanned pregnancy, what resources or first steps would you recommend to them for either reaching out to you or just whatever is near them?
Yeah, sure. So definitely reaching out to a local pregnancy center, even if it's not ours. But you can find Your Options Medical online if you search youroptionsma.org. That's our website. And you can go on there and either chat with the nurse directly. We have like a live chat on there that you can do, or you can set up a phone call. I know it depends. Like some people want the call. Some people like the telehealth where it's like a FaceTime video. So there's a few options there, but definitely reaching out to a pregnancy center for so many reasons, not just because this is where I work, but one, it's free. There's no charge for any of our services ever. So like there's no pressure there, right? You don't have to worry about insurance, cost, and all that. That takes one pressure off. And then we also encourage people, like, come to us first, even if you think you want to go get the abortion and that's your number one plan. You know, just come to us first. Find out what's going on, because before you even know what your options are, you need to know how far along you are. You need to know if you're even actually pregnant, because a pregnancy test, though they can be pretty accurate, not always. Next best step is an ultrasound. That's going to tell you how far along you are, if the pregnancy is even developing in the uterus, all the things. So like those are the first good steps. Plus, another benefit from coming to talk to us versus going anywhere else, there's no pressure from us. We're not going to financially benefit from you in any way, shape, or form. If you go to an abortion clinic, likely they're going to try to sell you an abortion because they make money off of it. We don't. We're not, you know, we're not a prenatal clinic. We're not an abortion clinic. We're not an adoption clinic. So no matter what you decide, we have nothing to gain from it. We are completely there just to help you, you know. So that would be my first, come talk to us or text us, call us, whatever it is.
That's so good. I think just people having the freedom to choose, like I love how you said before that, like you're not trying to pressure them to anything, but just knowing your options, which the name is perfect.
Exactly.
Knowing your options and knowing that like you have the freedom, but like here is, you know, what we think, and then eventually bringing it back to scripture and what the Lord says about children and you know, choices and things like that. So that's so good, and I love that. How can people support the work Your Options is doing, and in prayer or even financially or anything? How could people get involved?
So number one, definitely prayers, of course, because like I said, this is a clearly spiritual battle, right? And especially for the offices, like our staff and volunteers that work directly with patients, because it's rough, you know, to put it bluntly. Like I loved doing it. I love being in it. it's exhausting work because it's all the things, it's very emotional. It's again, it's just a spiritual battle. So be praying specifically for the patients that walk through the doors, that their hearts will be open to hearing the truth and hearing what we have to share, just giving them the information, but praying also for our staff and volunteers who are meeting with the patients, because it can be really, really hard. And like you said, it can be really discouraging if you're not seeing results that you want to see, or you just not knowing. I think is almost harder too. The ones that come once and never see them again. So praying specifically for that. And then financially, of course, because we are a nonprofit. I don't know if everybody knows, but like, we are not funded by any sort of grants. We don't get government funding or anything like that. We are just strictly funded by churches, by organizations, and individuals who just love the mission and want to help those that we serve. So, I mean, not everyone loves asking for money. I'm like, listen, we're a nonprofit. We always need, I'm okay letting people know, like, we always have a need for donations. So,
and you're the one who comes to churches and says, like, hey, here's the story. Donate some money.
Yes, exactly. Because that's what people want to see. They want to hear the stories of, the changed minds and the lives that are being impacted. I'll do a little sidestep, but I'll get back. We had a little guy, what was it? I think he's probably 7 or 8 now. His mom shared her story. She had come to our center, fully like called us like, I need to come in for a test and I need the abortion. Like, she was set. And I explained what we do, what we don't do. She's like, all right, well, I'm right down the road, so I'll come. And sure enough, she ended up choosing life. Praise God, all the things. Stayed in contact with some of our volunteers. And it was so cute because I got to share her story. She let me share with some of the churches. And then the little guy was 5, and she sent us this video of him singing Jesus Loves Me. Oh my goodness. It was the cutest thing. So like, it's fun even for people who have followed along with all of these stories and whatnot and have been big supporters for a long time. It's so fun to hear even like years down the road, or like, I mean, Your Options Medical, we've been around over 30 years. So we have people that will come in and be like, oh, my mom came here when she was pregnant with me. And now like they're adults having children of their own and stuff. So it's neat to be able to share too, like that whole legacy of just, you're not just saving the baby and then like, that's it. Like, you helped save a life and generations to come, by supporting this ministry. So it's unique in that way. But anyway. So going back, So those are the main ways: prayers, finances. If someone wants to give, the website is partnersofYOM.org.
Okay. I'll link it in the description for people.
Perfect. Thank you. So super easy. And then volunteers. We're in a season, especially in Southbridge, where we're looking for volunteers. So if somebody wants to give of their time, even if you're not really sure if you have skills to help, let me tell you, I'm sure you do. You have something, right? If the Lord's putting it on your heart, there's a reason. That's kind of how I came into it. Like, I wanted to help because it sounded like a really cool ministry, but had no idea really what it would look like. But I just followed the Lord's lead of like, okay, I'll send in the application, and then, I guess I'll go in for an interview and we'll see what happens. So, and then sure enough, this is where he's wanted me. So
that's so wonderful.
Yeah, it's cool.
Something you said just made me think of how is it different now having your own kids and have gone through pregnancy and labor and all of that counseling with other women, like now that you've experienced it.
So that it was interesting. Starting off, I was 19 when I started volunteering, and had no experience. Like, I babysat, but I had never had my own kids, and all this. So I'm like, I know nothing about anything. I'm not married yet. I don't know anything really, but I'm willing, Lord. So whatever you have for me, kind of thing. And so going from that, it was very like, okay, like, I guess it was just like a lack of confidence in a sense. Cause I was like, okay, Lord, I'm going to follow your lead, which is not a bad thing by any means, right? Like, it was really cool for my faith journey. And then now being on the other side of being like, oh, wow, I've experienced labor and delivery and having the babies and postpartum. And I think it just gave me an increased passion for the work that we do, because in my mind, I've had 3 now. I've got another one on the way. And I have an incredible support system. Like, I have amazing family. I have great supportive parents. I have great in-laws, like all the things. I mean, like my aunts, my grandparents, I've got a lot of support. So I'm very grateful. I have my church support. And I remember after having my first daughter, which as I mentioned to you earlier, it was beginning of COVID. So like it was a weird time to have a baby for anyone.
Yeah.
But I just remember thinking like, this is hard, you know, like there's a lot of uncertainties, and thankfully like I have the Lord. So I didn't really go into it with fear. It was just the kind of like feeling of, okay, Lord, I don't really know what to expect. I've never given birth. I've never been through a worldwide pandemic before, you know, like all these things, but just like, we just have to trust you. I know that you're good and you're faithful. You'll take care of us. And so I remember after having her and feeling like kind of isolated in a sense, because you're just like, oh, like we're not going out and seeing people. And, you know, people didn't want to come over because they're like, oh, I don't, you know, you've got a newborn. We've got to be careful. And so thankfully, my family, I saw them all the time. So that was good. But I just remember thinking like so many women go through this alone. You know, like, and it made me think like, man, if our patients just had families, you know, if they just had family support, and we would always tell them like, you know, we're here for you. We'll help you however you allow us to, like, we will help you. But we would also try to get them connected to a church. Not everybody wanted to, and it's fine. I totally get it. But like we encourage them, like, you know, if you're willing and open to it, get connected to a local church, because that can be a great source of support, you know, especially for the single moms who are doing it by themselves. So I think for me, having my own kids, it just kind of increased my passion and desire to like help these moms and help women that are either facing the unexpected pregnancy part, or even in the after, where it's like, okay, I chose life. I made the right decision, but also I'm alone, you know, and I'm trying to do this by myself. So, I think it gave me a little more understanding and even more compassion for that.
I love that. So good. Well, thank you so much for being on
Oh, you're
this.
welcome.
It's so
Thank
wonderful. And I'm so inspired. I'm like, oh, I think I should volunteer.
Hey, I mean, we're looking for volunteers, and it's right in Southbridge. So
I know. I'll pray about
That'd
it.
be great.
It'd be awesome. But thank you so much for joining me. This was wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much for doing it.